The input costs have unfortunately also been on the rise, casting a shadow on the profitability of the industry. Spot prices of pet coke, as you know, have shot up from the lows of $60 per ton to around $125 to $130 per ton already. Diesel has also been continuously going up, resulting in the two biggest cost components, that is logistics and power and fuel, putting pressure on the profitability for the industry. We believe that pet coke will start stabilizing as we see the restart of Texas refineries, which had suffered recently due to floods. Also, as the COVID vaccination program in the US keeps making progress, there are increasing number of people returning back to work in the refineries, thus helping increase the output in these refineries. This will lead to increase in pet coke production, and consequently, pet coke prices should also stabilize, which we believe should happen by the end of in the second half of this calendar year.
This meeting is being recorded.
Logistics costs have been hit with diesel price increase, but we are doing everything possible to manage this cost. Logistics is a big science, and we have been investing heavily in digitalization of our logistics network, which has been bearing fruits. And in spite of increase in diesel costs, we have been able to bear the pressure of rising input costs. Demand is very robust and continues to surge from all corridors. While the initial thrust came from the rural market, the infrastructure segment picked up as the government spending gained momentum. And now we started seeing gradual improvement in the urban real estate, no thanks to the pandemic, with relaxation in stamp duties in Maharashtra and some other states, I think, lowest possible interest rate regime, and the increase in the need for space. We believe that this growth in consumption will continue. Towards the end of the phase one of wave one of COVID, the government had started expediting the projects, making sure that the payments to the contractors are released on time. They continue to do so, but unfortunately, the lockdown pressures are withholding project work. I must talk about cash flow management in UltraTech, which continues to yield results. Tight working capital has helped good cash flow during the quarter, reducing our leverage by a further nearly 2,700 crores. In this financial year, we have deleveraged rapidly, reaching a net debt EBITDA of 0.55x from a peak of 3.3x at the end of last acquisition, which was 2018. October, December 18. Towards the end of March 21, we prepaid our long-term loan to the extent of 5,000 crores. You will start seeing the benefit of reduction in interest costs on our P&L from Q1 on account of these prepayments. As the year progresses, we are confident that there will be some more prepayments that we will do during the year. I've already mentioned about our 19.5 million ton of expansion. All critical orders have been placed. Civil work on all the sites has started off. The second COVID wave has slowed down work a bit temporarily. But as I mentioned, we are hopeful that we will maintain our timelines on execution of the projects. For the Dalla Super Clinker plant, I'm glad to inform you that we have received the stage 1 clearance from Ministry of Environment and Forest, MOEF, and we hope to complete the formalities by end of September 21. Thus, this gives us confidence that the plant will go on stream before the end of this fiscal year and provide relief to our eastern and central markets requirement of clinker. It's a 2.3 million ton of clinker plant. In the last meeting, I had told you about our RMC starting to play a bigger and a far more important role. Well, we are now 132 plant network, up from 109 plants at the end of December 20. In UltraTech, RMC is one of the largest internal customers for grey cement and generates an incremental margin over the grey cement margins. Nathdwara Cement has been doing very well. We operated Q4 with almost 85% capacity utilization, serving the markets of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Century assets have not stayed behind, operating at 90% plus capacity utilization. All the operating costs optimization plans are in place, except for the markets of Bihar and Chhattisgarh, where we are yet to do the brand change. All other markets brand change has happened, accounting for almost 77% of Century's output. Chhattisgarh, as we have already mentioned earlier, will continue with the old brand, and Bihar would account for 7 to 8% of the Century brand. You are aware of the amendment in the MMDR Act. UltraTech is the only cement company, like a good corporate citizen, that continued to pay the royalty as per the old MMDR Act on the limestone raised from the acquired cement units. As of March 28, this additional royalty has been withdrawn, and we stand to gain by way of reduction of our cost of royalty that was being incurred. The story of this quarter will be incomplete without telling you about our work on sustainability. We are targeting a reduction in carbon emissions by about 27% at the end of 2032 over the base of 2017. Such is the high level of confidence that we have committed to pay additional interest on our US dollar bonds that we raised in the last quarter. And there is, if we don't meet the emission targets, and there is no better recognition for UltraTech's commitment, this being our maiden debt issuance in the offshore markets, the first company from India, and only the second out of Asia to issue a sustainability-linked bond and achieving sovereign pricing. That is UltraTech for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, and I hope you decipher my message in the last slide of our presentation. Wish you all a very safe time ahead, and I hand it over for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use the handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Sumangal Nevatia from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning and congratulations on a great set of numbers. First question, Mr. Daga, is on the balance sheet and on the capital allocation. Now we are impressively deleveraging every quarter, and in a couple of quarters we would be net cash. And given our expansion plans already announced, it appears that we will be accruing a lot of cash balance on the balance sheet. So, in terms of capital allocation priorities over the next 2 to 3 years, can you share your pecking order, whether you would like to keep some cash on books as gunpowder for any future inorganic opportunities, or you would start expecting good dividends now? Or in case there are any international or global or non-core ambition which UltraTech would like to pursue?
Thanks, Sumangal. And I think I should have spoken about our capital allocation policy in my commentary, but let me give you guys an overview. You would have seen that we have stepped up the dividends. The money has to go back to the shareholders. You are absolutely right that the cash flows that we expect in future years will be very good. On a 111 million tons of capacity with a 70 71% capacity utilization for the year, the free cash flow was in a close to 5-digit number, EBITDA being close to 12,000 crores. This number with 130 million ton of capacity is going to go up further. As for international acquisitions or international foray, no, there are no plans as yet. I guess we have enough to do in India. Several markets are wide open for our organic expansion. There will be opportunities for inorganic growth for which we will keep gunpowder on the balance sheet. And excess cash will be returned to the shareholders. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, it does. So second question on the cost front. So looking into FY22, Mr. Daga, what are the key cost areas which you would keep an eye on or a key risk of inflation, whether it is flat raw material prices in terms of fly ash or pet coke? And so if you could share or explain us that what is the flexibility for us to switch between alternate fuels and even thermal coal in case pet coke keeps inflating the way it is?
So all our plants are multi-fuel and highly flexible on switching on a instantaneous basis from pet coke to coal or different grades of coal. It's a fuel mix that has to be managed. That is never a constraint. And in fact, this quarter we reduced the dependence on pet coke and increased coal to manage the fuel mix, which has helped manage our costs as well. As for these costs, none of them give us flexibility. Fly ash, coal, pet coke, diesel. If these are the main cost drivers, as a buyer, we can only strategize, try and read the markets, lock in quantities at the optimal prices. But spot prices are not in anybody's control. So we do our planning pretty solid, and I think UltraTech as a company with its size and scale is very well placed, very well organized, very well connected in the international markets for sourcing, in the domestic markets for fly ash. And whatever best is possible, I think UltraTech is able to get the best.
Understand. If I may just squeeze in one more question on slide 14 on your demand chart. After many quarters, there is green across, and now in the first quarter we are hit with COVID. So this time around, is rural demand, which has been a key strength area for the industry, is a significant risk? I know it's quite a dynamic situation, but any early thoughts you would like to share, sir?
No, it's too volatile or too unpredictable, with lockdowns. And I mean, life is more important. I think it's now the question of how the country fights this menace of the pandemic. Once that is out, I'm sure history is very short. Like last year, history will repeat itself. We are already seeing everybody's authority on COVID. We are already seeing reduction in numbers in Maharashtra and Gujarat, and the focus is now shifting to other states. And I'm sure other states will also start seeing recovery. We are seeing demand sustaining and improving in Gujarat and Maharashtra.
Understand. All right, I'll get back in the queue. Thank you and all the best, sir.
Thanks, Umang.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vivek Maheshwari from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Atul sir.
Morning, Vivek.
Sir, a few questions. First, on this limestone royalty, the change that you spoke about, so that helps Century, JP West as well as JP all three? And Binani
Yeah, all
merger should also happen based on the, as in the Nathdwara merger should also be now, should be on the cards given that, there is not going to be any limestone implication. Is that understanding correct?
Yes, we will. So, we still have to do a lot of cleanup on Nathdwara balance sheet. The litigation cases keep popping up everywhere. There are so many cases, and luckily we have a Supreme Court blessing. I don't want to do the merger till we have absolute clean balance sheet on Nathdwara. So maybe FY23 will certainly go ahead with the merger of Nathdwara, if not by the end of this financial year. So it's a matter of, it's within our control. And yes, the royalty benefit is there on JP as well as all JP assets as well as Century assets.
Sorry, could you remind me, sir, JP West, whether limestone royalty is paid on that one as well? Because I think the merger happened probably before the regulation change, or maybe I'm a bit confused on that.
No. So you see, we had acquired JP assets. Then there's nothing called JP West, and okay, you were talking about Sevagram.
That's right.
Sevagram acquisition. Yeah. So Mukesh, is royalty applicable on Sevagram also?
Yeah, because the transfer has been done later on.
Yeah. So there's a huge amount of. In fact, you will be surprised that there is one plant of Grasim transfers, which the government delayed doing the transfer and put royalty on that also. So the JP West that you talk about also attracted royalty. The rest of JP that we acquired also attracted royalty as well as Century assets.
Oh, okay. Would it be possible in terms of just quantifying it in terms of capacity, which gets impacted, or rupees crore, whatever that number is?
Capacity, I'll give you a number. Yeah, it's 200 crores plus per annum. That's the benefit.
Oh, okay, great. And that starts right from 1st April?
From 28th March 21.
28th March. Okay, got it. That was one. Second, on the dividend payout. So you have elaborated, in the earlier to your earlier response. But just to get it right, so let's say that this year's payout, as in F21 payout, has been about 19%. Is that what the number? So broadly,
20%.
Sorry,
19.99 or 20% is what I would look at.
Okay.
And the board had adopted a capital allocation dividend policy of ranging from 15 to 25%. So I think we are going to sustain and improve our dividend as a percentage to net profit. So it's 20% is here.
Got it. Okay. Sure. That is second. Third, sir, on the, in the last call you have had indicated, that you have, let's say, a low-cost fuel inventory going up to April or maybe early part of May. Can you just give us an update now?
We are managing our inventories and procurement processes, procuring from wherever possible, and I can only share with you that our costs will be better than the industry.
Sure. And lastly, can you just quickly also talk about so you have covered demand, but the local restrictions impact, let's say, was there a material difference between April first fortnight and second fortnight? And, in terms of, let's say, Maharashtra being an example, while construction at site is allowed, but what are you seeing on the ground right now?
It's too unpredictable, Vivek. I don't want to say anything which will change dramatically in the next 10 days. So let's watch this quarter. Let's not take decisions on 1 month, 1 day per se.
I see.
And I'm sure you guys have your channel checks, the infamous channel checks that you can figure out stuff. I'm surprised you did not ask any question about my last slide. Anyway.
I'll take it offline with you, sir. Thank you very much.
All
Wishing
right.
you
All
the
right.
best.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ritesh Shah from Investec. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Just a couple of
Mr.
questions.
Shah, sorry to interrupt you. May we
one
request
is,
that you please
on-
increase the volume of your phone? Mr. Shah?
Ritesh, a little louder, please. Can't hear you.
Mr. Shah, please increase the volume of your phone. Mr. Shah, you are not audible, sir.
Yeah, hi. Sir, I'll just repeat the question. Sir, my first question is on construction chemical. How do we see the allied category for UltraTech, wherein obviously the company has a right to win? If you can provide some color on how much revenues we are churning right now and where do you see this business going forward?
I can't hear anything that you are saying, Ritesh.
Sir, am I audible?
You are audible, but it was garbled. Your voice was very garbled.
Sorry for that. I'll just repeat it. So my question pertains to construction chemicals. How do we see this business going forward, specifically wherein the company has a right to win? If you can provide some numbers on where we are right now and where do we see this going forward, that would be useful.
I will reserve our commentary on what we call, BPD, Building Products Division, as part of our foray. We are going great guns ahead, and this will become one of the big drivers in UltraTech. Numbers, it's too difficult to put numbers at the moment. We have discussed this in the past also, Ritesh. We are very focused. I had told you about RMC, and I have shown you the numbers this quarter, and RMC is going to go full steam ahead. So is BPD, and when the time is right, I will speak about BPD in much more detail.
Sure, sir. Sir, second question was on RMC. You did indicate that we have increased the number of plants from 109 to 132. But sir, can you allude over here, has the industry gone some shift in cost structure or basically the way in which the industry operates, specifically on transit mixtures? Is there a structural change? I think post-COVID, the business model did get reversed a bit. Are we back to normal? How should one look at RMC as a business?
RMC is a big growth engine, and in the lighter vein, if I can say, UltraTech decides the future of RMC. But honestly, RMC is gonna be a big element of construction industry. People are realizing the benefits. Construction, sites are realizing the benefits of buying RMC instead of mixing RMC on site, and that is what is paying off. And it's how we try and educate and give a better product, better service to our customers.
Okay, sir, I have more questions over here. Sir, just last question. Under the amendments, one of the things which came out was that the leases which don't have PLs on it, basically they got lapsed, or the saved leases got lapsed. Just wanted to ensure, basically get comfort from you that for all leases which UltraTech has, basically they are safe.
We have zero lapses. No. We did not have any lease lapsing. All are secure.
That's quite useful, sir. Thank you so much, sir. That's very useful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit Murarka from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, Mr.
Good morning, Amit.
Yeah, so just firstly, question on the capacity update.
Amit, there is a lot of background talk from your side.
No, I guess it is better now.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I was asking, could you provide an update on Super Dalla and Bara 2?
Yeah, I did mention about Dalla Super. MOEF stage 1 clearance has been received for the plant land. Unfortunately, because of COVID, the next step, which is payment of dues, etc., is pending. We hope things settle down and we will start work on the plant and be ready with the plant by December, and hopefully January-March quarter should see the production coming out of Dalla Super. That's a 2.3 million tons of clinker. Bara has already got commission. Line 2 has already got commission. Railway siding has already got commission, and at last I remember it had reached a capacity utilization of upwards of 70-75%.
Okay, fine. Yeah. And also on the fixed cost, so like last year, obviously post-COVID, we had seen industry cut down on spend. But now again, like we were on a recovery mode, but now the demand is again looking a bit shaky. So can we now expect like spends like whatever dealer promotions, ad spends and all, and other such things getting curtailed?
It's natural. Jayawant, you want to comment?
Yeah. So I would like to say, yes, it's a very dynamic situation. We have seen that the overall environment has changed after the first wave. Everyone was bullish, but in last 1 month, all we know that things are again at a different stage actually. So yes, we are quite conscious about the same. In case the problems continues, obviously we may have to look for some cost-cutting measures again, the way we did in the past. But yes, it's I would say it's little early to conclude that we are going full blast on the other cost aspects.
So to supplement what Jayawant just mentioned, Amit, we have shaved off nearly 500 crores over FY20, because you see there is inflation in every element of cost. Even if I assume a 5% inflation, that inflation has been nipped, and we are looking at fixed costs at almost the same level as FY20 only. So there's a saving which is kicked in.
Okay, sure, thanks. And also, like on RMC, just had a simple question. Like in the presentation, you mentioned RMC volume is up 31% QOQ, but revenue is up only 8% QOQ. So why would there be such a big fall in realization? I mean, just to understand.
No, it's not. 1 second. Ankit, can you correct the number?
Yeah.
Tell me.
RMC is 32% revenue increase also year on year.
No, this is QOQ. Last quarter revenue was mentioned as 620 crores, and in the presentation the volume is mentioned 31 or 32% up QOQ.
Let me give you a clarification. In a moment we'll go on to the next question. Mukesh, just look up the numbers and be ready with the clarification.
And also on the fuel mix, could you share your current fuel mix? Like I guess petcoke would have gone down. So
petcoke has gone down to under 30%, and imported coal is up to 60% plus.
Okay, thanks. That's all.
Yeah, RMC and other project, we give the combined number, which is 18% higher than the last quarter.
Okay, I'll take it offline because last quarter number I think was...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Amit will explain it to you.
Mr. Murarka, is that
Thanks,
answer your
Amit.
question?
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All participants are requested to limit their questions to 2 per participant. If time permits, we will take follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Shravan Shah from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
So it's a clarification. On page number 17 and 18, the volume in the presentation, there is some calculation mistake is there. So India operation volume is 26.59, overseas is 1.41. If we add together, it is not telling with the console number. Same is the case with the annual number. So first, if you can tell us what's the exact number, console plus India plus overseas for fourth quarter and for the full year, and it's a good that we have shared the number in the presentation on the wide RMC everything. But on the annual number, there is no RMC annual number. So is it possible to share the same way fourth quarter number we have shared grey RMC wide export for the full year of FY20? And is there any restatement of the FY20 annual numbers, because growth number does not also tally? So need some clarification on that part.
I don't know how you are calculating the numbers. If you can connect with Ankit offline, he will. The numbers that we have mentioned in the slide are all audited and accurate numbers. There's no error in the numbers.
Sir, it is
Whatever
simple
specific
that
clarification you require, if you can connect with Ankit, he will be helping you on that. It's between consolidation, a quick clarification. Between consolidation, there is a elimination of intercompany transaction. To that extent, you cannot do a math, because you see, Nathdwara supplies cement to Ultratech, so that I can't count double.
no, sir, I understand. But even if you just look at 26.59 for this quarter India operation number, and you add 1.41 overseas, the number tallies at 28 million, and we mentioned the 27.78. So there is a difference of 0.22. And if I look at for the full year, the difference is 1 million tons. So that's what I said, the clarification and the request to share the same way the annual number for RMC, white and all this, the way we have shared for the grey. And the question is, my question is, the most of the things is answered. Couple of two things. One is what's the trade non-trade mix for this quarter for the full year FY21, and what was it for FY20 restated now, and what is the lead distance same way for this quarter for full year FY21 and the same for FY20 and for FY20?
So trade share is about 67% for this quarter. Lead distance is about 440 kilometers.
What is for full year FY21?
Full year FY21.
69%.
69%.
69.
Yeah.
What was for FY20?
Ankit, what was for FY20 full year?
The full TAD must be lower actually, but the lead we may have.
I will just give an exact number, sir.
Okay, no issues, and no issues, and all the best, sir. Keep the good work going on.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Madhav Marda from Fidelity International. Please go ahead.
Madhav, are you there?
Mr. Marda has left the question queue. We'll move on to the next question from the line of Indrajit Agarwal from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Daga. I have a couple
Hi,
of
morning.
questions. I have a couple of questions. First, on the utilization levels, as you mentioned, our March utilization was close to 99%. So is there any market where we have struggled to cater to demand with the high utilization, or we have managed to break through?
If I had more cement to sell, we would have sold more.
Sure. So on that note, you mentioned about keeping the powder dry for inorganic expansion. Do we have a priority order in terms of which regions we would be scouting for assets more? What would be our focus areas?
Except for West, where, we would get restricted by consolidation from CCI point of view. All other markets are wide open. I am keen on Northeast, and we are keen on South. We are keen on all the markets.
Sure. That helps. One last question. At current levels, what would be the price differential on landed versus
Sorry?
The price differential between landed pet coke and imported coal on a blended basis for us?
One second. If I look at fuel price, consumption rate, about, I'll tell you a percentage gap. Imported, you're asking about imported coal and petcoke.
Correct.
So there's a gap of about 20-25%.
Imported coal is cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. That answers my question. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Swagato Ghosh from Franklin Templeton. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. So, Dada sir, firstly, a very simple question on realization. Your realization was up about 1% QOQ, but from the general channel check, the sense that I got was overall for the sector, it was down QOQ as the pricing increases came in later part of the quarter. So, can you just help me understand that how did you buck this trend of realization?
So, let me ask you the question. Your channel checks cover how many people? We deal with 60,000 dealers across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is the price improvements, depending upon which market, what date the price improvements take place, will have an overall impact. Now, let's say if you are dealing with a regional players, and the price improvement has taken place on 25th of March, obviously they will not have a huge impact. But as a pan-India player, when we are seeing, we are selling all across, every price improvement helps. Every price change has a positive or a negative impact.
Yeah. So I just want to understand, so was your pricing improvement in line with the overall market improvement, like leave aside my channel checks? I just want to understand, did you outperform the market or yours was in line?
It goes to show we have outperformed the market.
Right. So I just want to understand whether this is fortuitous for the quarter, or can we do it because of our scale and obviously because of our size? Can we continue to do this every time?
Because of scale and size and the brand, the pricing capability or respect for the brand is higher than respect for or the willingness to pay for a brand B and a brand C. So obviously price improvements for category A brand is far higher.
Okay, fair enough. And sir, one other...
It's a sustainable methodology. If that's what your question is, it's a sustainable methodology.
Okay, got it. And so the other question I have is, because you're the market leader, you have strong market intel, I wanted to get a sense of what has happened to the tail of the market during this last disruptive year. By the tail, I mean the small 1 to 2 million ton capacity players. Have some of them gone out of market, or have they severely stressed, or the most...
There has been an impact on smaller players, because when in the initial period of COVID, when we discussed, there was a time if there's a 2-plant company and if there's a lockdown in one of their plant locations, 50% of their capacity is gone. All right. As compared to that, if there was one plant of UltraTech was in a lockdown situation, we or any large company would have the benefit of servicing its customers from other plants, sacrificing lead distance but servicing the customer and gaining market share. I made a big statement early on in my commentary. We sold 0.3 million tons a day as compared to 1 million ton a day of all India. That speaks.
Right. That's definitely huge. So, sir, I just want to understand when we look at the demand supply for the sector, the supply side, we look at a 500 to 520 million kind of a supply number. Do you think that the tail might shrink and this overall number might come down if we 21 was a disruptive year?
So the tail might shrink. Those are the 1 million tons, and there are smaller players also, 2.5 lakh tons, 500,000 ton capacity players will shrink. But you will have larger players like UltraTech and other larger players investing in capacity because there is a huge potential. I believe that we will see a CAGR growth, a large CAGR growth in India for a long period of time. These projects which are under execution are very cement intensive and time consuming. So India will have a long sustained period of demand, and capital intensive nature of cement industry will not let smaller investments sustain. We have the capability of investing and putting up brownfield expansions at a cost of $60-70 a ton or even lower. It will not be possible for everybody.
Right. And so if I may squeeze in just one small question on your government project orders, have you seen any great pricing pressure over the last 1 year? Because there has been...
No. Government is focused on project execution and fast-tracking projects. No pricing pressures. And pricing are, generally long-term contracted prices with the government projects. So I'm really happy, or actually, this is the most sensible thing that the government is doing to generate employment, to bring back labor to project sites, so that the government is now releasing payments to the large contractors on time and pushing the pedal on execution. And let's not talk about yesterday and day before, or in the last few days of COVID, but the underlying current is that we want to increase the execution of project execution at the ground level, so that employment generation is also there and labor is available.
Yeah, Atul, just to add upon, as you said rightly, unlike last year, this is not the case because all projects are practically running. Yes, number of labor might have reduced because of some sites, say now maybe 60% labor maybe working. But major projects like road, metro, all projects are on. Even if I talk about Bombay, the coastal road project is on. So the government is fully committed because it has linkages with the employment also.
Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
If the person from Dolat Capital is still on the line, 26.59 plus 1.41 is yes 28, and the number reported is 27.78 million tons because 0.22 is again elimination of domestic sales, our cement supplied to Sri Lanka. So it's an elimination only. The numbers are not wrong. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Jain from Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Hello. Hi, sir. Good morning. Can you give some sense, like you gave a color of, how infra is doing, on demand side. Can you give some sense of how bad rural is as we speak? Because, the impact on rural this time has been much more than what it was last year. And if you can also give some sense of how our volumes would have dropped in April over March, any sense of that would be very useful.
I don't want to comment on 1 month, 1 day, 1 hour of sale. So let's watch this quarter go by. Too unpredictable. I know my April numbers, but I'm restricting myself from commenting on them because let's say June picks up and whatever work was lost in April or in There's a work loss, there's a construction slowdown, no doubts about that. We'll come back to you with the exact numbers at the end of the quarter. As for infrastructure, Jhanwarji already mentioned, and yes, all sites, wherever possible, work has not stopped. So this lockdown, slowdown, or curfews are not an economic lockdown. Economic lockdown is where you have to shut down everything. That has not yet happened in the country. So infrastructure is growing. In Bombay, you see your coastal road project is going, continues. Highways continue. Work on metro is continuing. Everywhere work is going on at a slower pace, but work is going on.
So my question was more for rural. What kind of impact we have seen on the rural demand, this time?
I don't have a daily number, but yes, there is a slowdown. And I said I don't want to
slow down, but Atul, just to tell the slowdown, obviously, because we all know there are lockdowns across the country in different parts. So there is a slowdown, but it's not slowdown where there is a huge worry for kind of thing. Yes, obviously with all these kind of environment, pandemic environment, there is a definitely slowdown. And March and April always, as you know, always there used to be different.
Yeah, April will in any case be lower than March. March is a huge month. Yeah, if I did 99% capacity utilization in March, in normal circumstances without COVID also, April would not have been 99%.
Yes. That's a normal trend.
And second, Abdul, can you give a sense of, region-wise how the pricing moved in March over December? So I know overall number is 1%, but can you give some color on region-wise how it moved?
I'll give it to you offline.
Sure. Okay. Okay, great. Thanks. That's it from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Gaurav Rateria from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. Sir, two questions. Firstly, on the market share gains, you talked about the initial part of the year you benefited from supply side issues which other plants were facing. But I think, every quarter after quarter, UltraTech has been gaining market share. So in the recent quarter, there has not been any supply side issues. So what really has been driving the market share gain for UltraTech, and which regions in particular? If you can throw some light, that would be helpful.
Gaurav, kabhi to compliment karo. Compliment the company sometime. So, we had a capacity utilization of 100% plus in the eastern markets, 90% plus in all the markets, all the other regions, and a shade under 90% in south, which south is always supposed to be laggard, but just a shade under 90% in south. That is the kind of demand, that is the kind of euphoria in cement consumption in the country. And UltraTech is the only company. There's no other company which is in that situation, which our diversity of the spread that we have in the country comes to our advantage. So we are able to service customers from anywhere.
Right. So second,
Atul, if I may add, the best part is the serviceability, Atul, the serviceability. Yes. We can service from central to east, from west to north to east. Maybe at certain posts, but yes, the serviceability is always ensured with our size and scale.
Yeah. So Gaurav, we have focused on gaining market share. Not losing a single. Theoretically saying, not losing a single order.
Understood, sir. So second question, a great move on dividend of increasing the payout, but just trying to contextualize this in terms of the percentage of free cash flow, it was probably still 10%, and that will probably be the case even going forward because of good confidence on the future cash flow. What is the kind of a gunpowder you want to have on the balance sheet to have that optionality of any future inorganic opportunities in the balance sheet?
So, my aim is to go net cash on the balance sheet, and irrespective of any gunpowder, if I have to leverage for a year, my free cash flow for 1 year will be, let's say, 10,000 crores. So we will deleverage and come back to net cash in a year's time if we were to leverage. Having said that, we would carry a 10,000 crore plus surplus on the balance sheet for any exciting opportunity.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much and great set of numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Madhav Marda from Fidelity International. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir, good morning. Am I audible now?
Yes, Madhav.
Yeah. So I just had one question was on the fixed cost side. We had a 500 crore saving this year over the last year. I didn't fully sort of understand. You said that in FY22 we'll maintain it at the same level as FY20. Is it? That's what you said.
Yeah. So, if you look at my fixed, Ankit, correct me, Mukesh, my fixed cost for FY20 was close to 5,500 crores.
Yes.
Yeah. So if I were to do an inflation on that 5,500 crores, I should be inching towards 6,000 crores for at the end of 2 years, but we will maintain 5,500 crores.
We maintain 5,500 crores in FY22. Okay, understood. Okay.
Yeah. That's the way I count my chicken.
All right. Okay, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. What happened?
The next question is from the line of Sumedha Srinivasan from ICICI Prudential AMC. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations on a good set of numbers. So my question was on the WHRS capacity that has been announced. I think the result mentions that we expect to go to almost close to 300 megawatts by the end of FY23, which is more than double of the current capacity that we have. So is this mainly coming up in the new expansion projects that are happening, and what would be would this come up along with the expansions or after completion of it, and what would be the capex for this?
All the expansions that we are doing, the integrated plants, we are baking in WHRS in parallel. Today we have reached 125 megawatts of WHRS, and by 23 or middle of 24, WHRS would be at 304 megawatts. Now the incremental investment, Ankit, Mukesh, can you guys give the number?
Around 1,800 crores.
That is the part of overall investment on WHRS.
And actually, if I may add, because wherever new sites are coming, it is part of our CapEx plan.
CapEx plan, yeah.
Announced, so no additional CapEx.
No additional CapEx. Yeah, it's part of the announced CapEx, yes.
Understood. Okay. And what would be the cost benefit that we would be likely seeing from this, and would that be visible from FY24 onwards, if my understanding is correct?
Yeah, it will be visible. It will be visible through 22, 23. But if you want to annualize the benefit of 304 megawatts, that will be in 24. And the cost, this will become WHRS will become about 25-26% of our total power consumption. On the current, I'll give you all the levers. You can do your own math. On the current network, our power consumption is about 1,200 megawatts, and this will be 300 megawatts, 304 megawatts of WHRS. Current cost of power without WHRS would be 5.5 rupees a unit.
Less than 5, sir. Less than 5, sir.
So, and let's say 5 rupees a unit is the grid power or our thermal power. The WHRS power will be 50 paise to 75 paise a unit.
Okay.
So 25% of my power will cost 75 paise a unit, and 75% of my power will cost, let's say, $5 a unit.
Understood. Okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bhavin Chheda from Enam Holdings. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Daga and the entire UltraTech team. Excellent performance across FY21. So, two questions. What was the premium cement now as a percentage of overall total cement sold by
About 7 to 8%. 7 to 8%.
And how it has moved over last year?
Over?
How much was it in FY20?
Oh, sorry, it's not 7 to 8, it's about 10% now. And last year, I think it was 8%.
And
Yeah, it's a delta of about 2.
Okay. And any internal targets how this will move going forward as you are planning ahead?
We are looking at going up to 15%.
By when, sir?
This is on the current new products or value-added products, and the company is working separately on identifying and bringing out newer value-added products.
Okay. So just before the second wave hit India, I think majority of the Indian got impacted in April, May. Most of the cement industry projections were close to industry projections of 15-16%, and obviously UltraTech being market leader expected to grow ahead of that. Your internal projections on industry still stand there, or what will be your view going forward?
You know, I would count pandemic as a temporary slowdown. It's an unfortunate one, but I will want to count it as a bad blip. 2 months, we should come back, and I'm scared of reading about the third wave, and I don't know how long it will go, but we have to take it in stride. So if by June things become normal, fingers crossed, people are saying by 15th of May things will start improving and just start subsiding. Let's say June things improve, and then we are back on track. The industry is back on track.
Okay. And
you have to see the project. Now let's say a metro project. Let's say you're in Bombay, right? Yeah. So coastal roads project. They have to complete it, and they will push the pedal. Whatever slowdown has taken place will be wiped out. So you will be back to normal speed. The project life is not reduced. A project, the quantity of cement required in a project, the work involved in a project is not going down. It's only a temporary setback in the pace of execution.
Sure. And what about the individual home units consumption? Because that forms a very...
It's going up. It's going up.
Okay. So you're saying the pent-up real estate demand last 6 months, what we saw, a big pickup in real estate will eventually lead to... Okay.
Now, if you have started a project, you have done the roof or one wall, you will not leave it there. No? The moment labor is available, things at home are all right, things in the neighborhood are normal, I am confident of stepping out and buying cement. I go out and buy cement. Get my contractor back home and do the job. That's the IHB segment.
Sure.
Today, let's be honest. Today, I am scared personally. I don't want to call an electrician inside my house for any repair work, or a mason, or the pest control guy. When things normalize, we'll start calling. Similarly, when things normalize, the work which has stopped on my house, which I'm building in Timbuktu, I'll start work there. So that's the general philosophy, right?
Sure. So last question I missed out. You said you want to maintain a net cash of 10,000 crores. So that is net cash in the balance sheet, or you spoke about liquidity to be maintained about 10,000?
Liquidity on the balance sheet.
Liquidity. And you technically you want to be a net cash company, but you're not giving any figure on that.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as there are more questioners, we are extending the call by 15 minutes. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Girish Chaudhary from Spark Capital Advisors. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Dhruv sir. Couple of questions from my side. Firstly, on the RMC business, if you could also share the margins which you're making and on the capacity utilizations for the year, and extending the capital employed in this business just to get a sense on the return profile of this business.
So the last question first, you will fall out of the chair if I were to tell you the return on capital employed in an RMC. It's a very high number. Second question was on it will go Neeraj, it will go above 25%?
Yes, sir. Upwards of 25%.
Yeah, it will go way above 25%. Second question was on margins. Margins we would have 5 to 7% over grey cement.
Okay. After transfer pricing of
On a transfer pricing, that I clarified. It's on a transfer pricing. So RMC is one of the biggest customers for my grey cement. RMC marketing team is separate, and the grey cement marketing team is separate. So grey cement marketing team sells cement to RMC at the best possible price, and then they earn a margin of 5 to 7% over grey cement margin. Third point on capacity utilization, there is no concept of capacity utilization in RMC because the transit mixer is not allowed to move 24/7. It can run we run maybe 13 to 15 kilometers distance because we don't want the material to set. So we don't go by capacity utilization percentage. RMC plant might be 30 cubic meter million cubic meter क्या बोल रहे हैं 60 cubic meter plant, but that's the sizing of the plant depending upon the customers that we want to service. Capacity utilization is not a number to track.
Got it. So that was very helpful on the RMC. The other question was that I had a follow-up on the premiumization the earlier participant asked. So what we have seen is that in the recent past we are seeing increasingly many players focusing on this and also talking about premiumization of products moving to 10 to 15% and also targeting closer to 20%. Ultratech, if you see, has the highest priced premium product, which is Ultratech Weather Plus. So do you think this can slowly get commoditized or let's say, can there be some pricing pickup in this part of the product profile?
See, in this space, it's always an early mover advantage. And when our product has established itself, it is very difficult for somebody else to substitute. And as more and more players copy us, yes, there will be some bit of discounting on the current pricing, but we will have a premium positioning in this product also. Jayawardji, would you like to add something?
Yeah, yes. So Atul, because because the brand has its the premium tag, even if somebody new person is coming in these product and our premium on the new product should continue to command in the market. That's what the practice in the market.
Sir, lastly, if I may, I know you shared the regional.
Can we take on another question? I've already extended the call. Let me take other questions, please.
No, sure. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arjit Datta from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Congratulations, sir, on strong set of number, balance sheet leverage and high dividend payout. One question from my side. Considering cement prices moving up in later part of Q2 and the full inventory impact in cost will be realized in Q1, can you give some guidance on how EBITDA % increase will be currently versus Q4 level without considering the operating leverage part? Because as you said that.
Yeah, you are asking me to talk. Arijit, you are asking me to talk about Q1 21. I don't want to give you any details.
Some guidance on the.
I don't believe in giving any guidance. Whenever we meet one-on-one, I'll explain trajectories and show you directions, how things are moving. You make your conclusions.
Yes, sir. We'll connect often.
All right.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanjay Parekh from Nippon India Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Mr. Parekh, please go ahead with your question. Your line is in talk mode.
Move to the next question, please. He's on another call.
The next question is from the line of Pratik Kumar from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir, and congrats for great results. First question, when you said that utilization of Nathdwara was 85, Century was 90, was this for annual numbers or for QQ? And what are the
quarter? I told you about quarter numbers, yeah.
Quarter numbers. So what would be the annual profit per ton, EBITDA per ton for these assets now for FY21?
Difficult to, Nathdwara, yes, Nathdwara would be about $1,500 a ton. But the Century assets is very difficult because they are totally synchronized with our existing network in the same markets. Nathdwara being a standalone balance. Yeah.
We used to target something in the range of 900 to 1,000 for Century. We would have
From there, I think I have already reached above 800, and now $60 will be realized from MMDR royalty. 64 rupees will come as a gate. So 865 will be there, and I'm sure with the pending improvements, brand transition that are happening, we will cross 900 for sure.
Sure. And the second question on your gross debt, we did some absolute gross debt reduction by 5,000 crore as you mentioned. But our reported gross debt looks only 2,500 crore lower for FY21.
So what happened was, I'll tell you, we paid off 5,000 crores. We had done a raising of US dollar bonds, which was 2,900 crores. So net number will be less. We had also raised an NCD during the year, which was about 1,000 crores. So gross debt level, you will not see a 5,000 crore number.
Sure, sir. I'll get back with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kamlesh Jain from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, sir, and congratulations on good set of numbers. Sir, one question on the part of CapEx, like say, I do appreciate that COVID volatility or uncertainty is there. So how much CapEx can we pencil in for FY22 and 23?
Sorry, you are asking for what? How much? CapEx cash flow?
CapEx, yeah.
CapEx spend, this FY22, we will look at 4,000 to 5,000 crores. That will be the bulk of our cash flow. FY23 might come down to about 3,000 crores. It is largely because of the expansions.
And sir, secondly, on the cost part, we have done phenomenal work on the, particularly on the energy and the freight, which is the bulk of the cost. Sir, like going forward, like if I see the imported coal cost, it is flat quarter on quarter, $76 odd. So going forward, like say 2 quarters or 3 quarters, so from the current levels, what could be the cost increase we can see for UltraTech?
I don't think we will see cost increases. Cost should come down. Diesel, of course, is not under our control. Luckily, we don't consume petrol, which has gone up to $100 a liter. Petcoke will come down, coal will come. This is what our reading of the international supplies is.
But sir, given the current prices sustained, so what could be the, like say, as we had moved to coal to at around 60% odd, So taking that into consideration, I do appreciate that on the freight cost we can't comment, and their impact has been visible. So, but on the energy cost side, how much could be the incremental move which we can see?
No, so what I'm saying, the incremental might be $50 here or there per ton, but not more than that. And July onwards, it cannot be cast in stone, but second half of this calendar year, fuel prices should come down.
Okay. And lastly, sir, on the overseas, so we have done roughly around 250 odd crore EBITDA there. So that's also far better as compared to what the headlines has been there, that in Middle East market, the market has not been that strong. But do we see the sustainability of those 250 crore EBITDA there in overseas operations?
Yes. I think I'm glad you asked about our UAE operations. The brand is very well established. We would have more than 25% of the market share in the UAE, and we are the best performing. Cement company in the UAE.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take the last question from the line of Vivek Gedda from HSBC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So firstly, I just wanted to get a sense of the volume growth and pricing trends for UltraTech by regions. I think few people have alluded to that, but I may have missed that.
I didn't get your question.
I just wanted to get a sense on the volume growth and pricing trends for UltraTech by region.
By region, I think that somebody else also had asked that question. Let me give it to you offline, Vivek.
Got it. So secondly, just wanted to get a sense that with RMC and BPD being your long-term growth engines, what kind of ROE would you target for the consolidated business on a medium to long term from the current 15%?
Lovely question to end this session today. We have reached an ROE of about 15%, and I am looking at taking it at least 2 or 3 bits higher.
And any time frame that I may, if I may ask?
25, by 25.
Got it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.